Welcome to the podcast of WELdoeners. We are Sven van den Burg and Marcel van der Zee from Well, platform about positive health. Our special guest today is Andrew Greenwood.
Thank you.
Of Switch to Move.
That's right.
And you are English native speaker, so we do this podcast in English today.
Thank you.
Andrew, you are a dancer, and
Yes.
this morning you've done a keynote presentation,
that's
performance.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
At the Congress of Positive Health.
Yeah.
Well, now you're here.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Great having you here, Andrew,
Yeah,
at this
pleasure.
podcast of this episode of WELdoeners.
Yeah.
We are now present in interesting surroundings because we're at the Institute for Positive Health. We're a guest here. / everything is health. Alles is gezondheid.
Yep. Alles is
And today is ook the yearly, how do you call it? Congress,
Symposium.
symposium
Symposium.
of positive health.
Yeah.
First question.
Yes.
Andrew, you look amazing.
Thank you. I
Definitely.
made a little effort because that's half of the work.
You did succeed very well.
Oh, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
yeah. I like the combination of
Yeah.
of the shoes and your
That's great.
suit.
Oh, thank you.
What does positive health means to you?
Well, positive health for me is about the person. We have a lot of titles in healthcare. There's a lot of titles. So Mr. and Mrs. Parkinson's, or Mr. Parkinson's and Mantelzorger. But positive health is about finding out who Twan is and Kari, who's looking after Twan, and how can we activate them to think about not necessarily the pathology and the title, about how we can enhance them to find other ways to manage and adapt to a specific health issue. So positive health is really about creating a pathway or inspirations for individuals.
Okay. And could you tell us, please, in what way of how positive, healthy do you live by yourself?
Well, preaching and practice are two different things. No?
Even for you.
Even for me.
That's a relief, Marcel. That's a relief.
That's a relief, huh?
Yeah,
because it's very easy to preach. But practice, of course, I don't know about you, but it's I have a million ways to talk my way out of going to the gym.
Yeah.
But I do know and understand that if I do everything in moderation, I'm going to probably live quite healthy. I'm very lucky because I'm actually preaching and inviting people to move to music. But which is really interesting. So there is a research going on cognitive reserve in the VU University. For me, if I was unfortunate to get dementia, I would not use dance. I would have to find another hobby. So at the moment, I'm dancing a lot. So that, of course, that helps me. But my cognitive reserve is not as stimulated as it is if I suddenly start to learn to make bread or learn to speak Dutch. But I would say that I'm doing quite well on the side of positive health. But I think it's all in moderation.
Okay. Did you fill out, by example, there's this,
Yes.
how do you call it, spinnenweb?
Yeah, the spider web.
Spiderweb, of course.
Yeah.
Spiderweb.
Yeah.
How difficult can it be?
Yeah.
Spiderweb. Did
Yeah.
you fill it out?
Yeah, I filled it out. Yeah, and again, I'm really lucky because I have a healthy family.
Okay.
And I have a group of unique friends, and I enjoy my work. It's a privilege to see people with Parkinson's, for example, go home with an extra tools to continue to play with their grandchildren.
Yeah.
So and now I was with about 500 people, and they were dancing to amazing music. So I'm actually quite a fortunate young man, old man,
Wise man.
wise man. Yeah.
Okay.
Andrew, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, about
Yes.
your background?
So I started my professional life and my student life as a classical ballet dancer, which in the 70s is not the first thing you would think about. But when I when I had hair, it was red and curly. I looked a little bit like Ronald McDonald. And on a rugby field, that's not good. Everybody was jumping on me, beating me up. So, and
because
then
those are the choices, either rugby
it
or
was
go to dance.
ballet.
It was rugby, karate, football, you know. And
okay.
because I had a lot of energy. I was bouncing off the walls.
Yeah.
And so they were just throwing me into all these activities. But because of my red curly hair and freckles, I became a little bit of a target. I had a little target on my back.
Yeah.
And then my grandmother said, oh, maybe you should try to do some ballet. And then suddenly I was being chased for completely different reasons.
Okay.
It was me and 26 little girls in pink. And suddenly I could be a dragon, I could be a prince. And before I knew it, I was suddenly in a very professional environment as a professional ballet dancer. In 1979, I graduated. And then I realized that the world is my oyster in the sense that there's no language barrier. I can do this anywhere.
Yeah.
So I spent at least 2 years in different companies from Brazil to America to Italy, you know, so I was kind of ping-ponging around. And then you have to kind of hang up your tights because there's a point where you just don't look good in them anymore. You know, it's physically demanding. And then I became, luckily, a classical ballet master. That means I had the luck to work with different opera houses. And just suddenly, I'm in Amsterdam teaching, and a lovely young gentleman of 37 came to me and said, hello, Maestro, I have Parkinson's. Can you help me? I had no idea what Parkinson's was. I said, of course, I'd be more than happy to help you. I took him to a dance studio where we have a lot of mirrors. He was 37, so it's quite young for Parkinson's.
Yeah.
And his hand was shaking and he was quite confronted. So I kind of didn't really know what to do with that. I turned the lights down, put some music on in my comfort zone. And then after putting the lights back on, there was this young man who was jumping around saying, you called me a dancer. I said, I call everybody a dancer. He said,
Instead of a Parkinson's patient.
Exactly. Which I had no idea what that meant then. So the idea of taking people into a wonderful institution like an opera house or a theater, and they are being called dancers, and they have an opportunity to find ways to continue to play with their grandchildren rather than from a medical perspective. And there's nothing wrong with a medical perspective. We're just an enhancement of. So that changed my life. So from working with, let's say, aesthetic, healthily dancers, my life has done a 360, and I'm working with aesthetically differently abled individuals.
With other talents, or maybe...
Yeah. I mean, really other talents, because just a really quick story. So I invited some of the professional ballet dancers that had injuries to join us because it's good for their well-being to be part of something. And at least 3 of them were crying during the session, and what they said was that they was watching these people in wheelchairs or in chairs dancing from the inside.
Yeah.
And they forgot what it's like to dance from the inside because it becomes very professional. And so, yeah, you can imagine somebody dancing from the inside, regardless of their different abilities, and somebody with a technician just doing it for achieving something brilliant.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. And the story you told us about this young man or a colleague that you took him to the dance studio.
Yeah.
Was that the starting point for Switch to Move?
Absolutely. It was. I didn't realize that dance had other powers because I was very much based on this idea. You call it the fourth wall, so the auditorium where the public are. It's very difficult to see the public because of the light. So you kind of have this safety of a fourth wall. And suddenly I was involved really with the public, with the people, and it changed my life.
Yeah.
If you're, they call you Maestro. It's very easily to be called Maestro because it's great for your ego, for your insecurity, and you get a little bit lost in that. If you're,
You did by yourself?
yeah, I got a bit lost. I think I
Lost
didn't know.
in what way then? Lost.
Yeah, well, if you're in Verona, at the Verona Arena, and every buongiorno maestro,
Yeah. Yeah, you think
tutto
you're...
bene maestro, and you're picked up and you're taken, you lose a little bit of contact with the day-to-day things.
Yeah.
So I always say that Parkinson's saved me from me.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Your
it
ego.
does.
Yeah, because you're working with people that have unimaginable issues, and they're there twice a week, smiling, and I look back at myself if I'm waiting for the personal driver a little bit, and I'm getting a bit grumpy.
Okay.
Yeah, he's too late.
It's too late.
Why?
You know what I mean? Excuse
Come on,
me.
we need to be...
Yeah. It's dangerous, but it's one of those worlds. It's all about aesthetic, prestige. You can get lost.
Very outside.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that was the starting point
Yeah.
for Switch to Move. And can you tell us a little bit more about Switch to Move? What do you do?
Switch to Move is an organization that offers dance classes, weekly dance classes. These are very important because they have regularity and purpose. Because the community of dancers, they feel responsible for the community. So they have purpose, regularity. So we facilitate classes from Amsterdam, Den Bosch, Eindhoven, Tilburg. That's one area. The other area is that we have education programs where we offer tools for people that want to either set up their own sessions or implement it in their practice as a physiotherapist. And what's really exciting now is that we are working with the Technological University Eindhoven. It's called the Faculty of Industrial Design for Innovation for Dementia.
Wow.
Yeah, and we are working with them on warm technology. So I could just share one example. So we're together. We have designed a compass that always points the way home. So if you have dementia...
You mean by wayfinding?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's literally a normal compass.
Yeah.
You push the button wherever you are, the GPS coordinates, and that big red arrow will always point the way home. Why that's important is because then Tuan can go and buy milk, walk his dog, and have purpose.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why we call it warm technology.
Okay.
So it's about integrating technology, art, science. It's the road has been not bumpy, but at the beginning when somebody says, oh yeah, we do dance for Parkinson's and dementia, it's not the first thing you would think about. But now we've become more conscious. We've become more aware of the value of self. I think that's grown over the time. We have, unfortunately, a tsunami of people being diagnosed with Parkinson's dementia.
Yeah.
There are no immediate cures yet. Dr. Bas Bloom, a very prominent neurologist, is saying it's going to take us 50 to 30 years to find a cure for Parkinson's. So John or Julie, they want to play with their grandchildren. They want to eat their spaghetti in the restaurant. And so we don't cure these wonderful people. We use dance and music to find a hidden agenda for them to find their autonomy, dignity, purpose. And the most important thing of the sessions is the coffee and the koekske.
Coffee and cook.
Coffee and cook.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
How is that?
Because once they've done an hour session, their hormones, their endorphins, they're stimulated. They've broken out of this physical harness. We've played with rock music, classical music, new music, they're all fired up, and then the coffee and the cookie is that time where they can really share their experiences.
Okay.
They're the experts.
One cookie, right? And then
Yeah.
closing the box.
Yeah, you have to
Typical
close the
Dutch.
box. Yeah. Exactly.
It's not a party around here.
There's
just
no
one
party.
cookie.
It's gezellig, but to a point.
Yeah, to a point. Yeah, 10 minutes,
10
15
minutes.
minutes maybe,
That's
but
it.
that's it. Yeah. And I once heard with dementia, people that have dementia that can remember certain musical songs from really early in their life. Yeah. Is it also like, because you combine like the music with the dancing?
Yeah.
Does it also go for the dancing, sort of?
Yeah, I mean, again, people have either done some ballroom dancing or they remember dancing at their holiday. You can trigger with music especially so many nice memories. You can stimulate them to find relationships. And also what's really interesting about Parkinson's, dementia, and all these pathologies is that the memory of emotions stay very long. So you can still trigger a lot.
The memory of the emotions.
Yes, yeah. So the lymph, so the lower, the reptile, the lymphic system. For instance, if we took the top of the head off, we could still live. If not live. If you took the bottom off, you couldn't, because this is memory. You will never lose the function to actually walk.
Okay, that's there.
It's there.
It's there already.
Yeah. So this kind of
there.
archaic reptilian basics are still there.
Yeah.
So you can trigger them to by finding music that they like, finding pictures they like. Yeah. There are so many ways using art as a metaphor to stimulate memory, to stimulate emotions. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Do you see developments in recent time around positive health?
Oh, there's a renaissance. There's a renaissance because it's an economical problem.
We have to.
They want to keep people at home longer. We are getting older, and autonomy, purpose, and dignity are key factors to keep people at home, either the informal caregiver or the individual with a specific health issue. So the financial burden is just massive. And so they are looking at new alternatives. I am an economical viable product because through our programs we can keep people autonomic longer. So that kind of that's opened the door. It's not just because it's an economical argument, but it definitely plays a key factor in, there are 970 million people living with some form of mental health issue.
Could you repeat that number?
Yes, 970 million people registered, are living with some form of mental disability. And emotions, expression, these are things that positive health can tap into. So there is more understanding from quantum consciousness. Science is with us. It's all going together.
That would be my question.
Yeah.
In what way of how is science involved? You told us that you're working with University of Eindhoven.
Yeah.
But is science involved in the whole thinking of positive health, in your opinion? Should it be more involved?
It should be more involved in the sense at the moment you need to have a quantitative research paper for it to be in any medical journal.
Proven by clinical tests.
Yeah, exactly. But experiential research, qualitative research, it's coming, but there needs to be more room for it. because the health policy and the pharmaceutical companies, they are working very much for a quantitative perspective. But if Twan has Parkinson's and he likes Sofitje with a Richa, then I'm going to play Sofitje with a Richa.
Mhm.
And if Kari used to play tennis and she loves the Rolling Stones, then I'm going to play that.
Mhm.
The reason I'm saying that, there are researchers like parameters.
Mhm.
They like to have
Yeah.
an experiential approach is, of course, it's more work for them. But it definitely needs to be more embraced. We can measure people all day
Mhm.
from an anatomical perspective.
Yeah.
But to actually measure how can we get Robert to have less anxiety, stress,
Mhm.
and depression,
Mhm.
and that's where the positive health comes in, the spinnenweb, the spider web.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, as a human.
Yeah.
Yeah. We switch back to switch to move.
Yep.
The combination of dance and music, either classical music, pop, rock,
Yeah.
maybe even new wave or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
The combination of music and dance, is that in essence the key of the success?
Yes.
Do you think?
Definitely, because you can create a safe environment by going. So, for instance, if I go to Tilburg, I'm generalizing. I could use carnival music, snollebollen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could use
You
carnival.
go to the right, you go to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm in Rotterdam, I can use a little bit. I'm generalizing, but
Yeah.
a bit harder, straight. If I'm in Amsterdam, I could play Frank Zappa.
Yeah.
So already,
Mhm.
roughly,
Yeah.
if you go to an old people's home, it has to be Glenn Miller. So you warm them up.
Yeah.
So music is a great kind of synthesizer
Mhm.
Yeah.
that you, depending on who you're with, you get them feeling comfortable,
Mhm.
and then you can start to play. You can start to play with Bach music, or you could play with rock. If the weather's bad, we can really put I don't get any satisfaction,
Yeah.
So music is a key factor of registering emotions.
Mhm. But also not only registering, but also, how do you say it?
Triggering.
Yeah.
Triggering.
Yeah. So we were talking about New York, and I always have this analogy. I went to a cocktail bar in New York, and the cocktail bar waiter said to me, "What mood are you in? And what mood do you want to be in?"
Really?
Really?
Yeah. And then he
served
adjusted
you.
my mood with 3 cocktails, and he did brilliantly. And that's the same with music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What mood are they in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what mood do you reckon they want to be in?
Okay.
And then you go.
And you get there.
And you get
And
there.
you get there.
I mean,
Yeah.
we were talking earlier about tapes. You couldn't do that before.
No.
But now you have Spotify
Yeah.
or Apple Music.
Play anything you like.
Play anything you like.
Yeah.
You can see that suddenly, for no one, you don't know why, Julie's crying. You put something on, it's triggered something in Julie. You can decide to turn that up, to let that go,
Right.
Mhm.
or go somewhere else.
Yeah.
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 So music is the key.
Music is the key.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Do you have an example of positive health in your surroundings, the area where you are, or
Yeah, I mean, again, so I 2 weeks ago, I was in India, and traveling through India, there's a lot of hardship.
Mhm.
And then for me, Holland is quite a community-friendly country. It's gezellig.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It is basically,
Yeah,
I'm generalizing, but so when you have neighbors that I don't know, put your rubbish bin out, or neighbors that assist somebody else with something, just kindness and goedemorgen.
Yeah.
I find myself saying goedemorgen in other countries and wondering why nobody's replying.
Because of goedemorgen.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, maybe they didn't understand me. Oh, I should say good morning next time. Bon dia.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Namaste, huh?
Namaste, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
so what I want to say, I think that it's everywhere positive. I think that if you have a community-friendly people, you're lucky enough to be in a country or in a neighborhood where you have that. Kindness, just a look, or
it's just around the corner.
it's just around the corner.
And why is it so hard then to? Because we're talking about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of problematic in this.
Yeah, definitely.
In this time of age, in this society where we are right now. Do you agree on that? Or?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're busy beasts. We are not present.
We're not present. No, we're not here.
We're not
Actually,
here.
we're always chasing something.
Yeah.
What are we chasing?
Yeah, exactly. And so I think the idea of just taking that time to be present,
being in the now.
in the now, yeah. And our dancers, I call them, they're in the now.
Okay. We
and
should learn from them.
I think that they're ambassadors, because they would tell you, get in the now, because my now is not the now I was expecting.
Exactly.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
And they would tell you straight away, get in the now. Because, they all worked really hard and they got their pensions, and then suddenly they got, unfortunately, diagnosed with something that's going to affect their lives forever.
Yeah, there might be also this relation, like you said, this number, like 917
million.
It's amazing.
Million people are registered suffering from some kind of mental health issue.
Yeah.
That is only registered.
Probably
So,
a lot more.
Maybe twice, maybe three times. Yeah. Okay. So there might be a relation between that number and also people not being in the now, because we move away from being people.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, again, when you have the luck to be with these individuals that understand the value of now, because they've got to be in the now. It's quite powerful. It's a great. I mean, again, every day I'm reminded, because of these wonderful people, I have to be in the now.
Yeah.
Andrew, you use your method, your proven method, for people who have Parkinson's, dementia, or multiple sclerosis. Do you already see, or do you think of possibilities is there a chance of success for the method for other diseases?
I mean, absolutely, but there's a catch-22 there. So at the moment, I'm going on tour in Holland with a program called Huis. It's for lonely elderly. We work with classical music, a pop singer, and myself. And the idea is that the young can invite their grandparents, or their grandparents can invite their grandchildren. So gezellig, fun.
Yeah.
They dance to music, they listen to music, healthy. I work with the Antwerp Philharmonie, where we use the full orchestra, classical music, and the auditorium is full of neurodiversity. From autism to Down syndrome, parents, neurotypical, healthy. It's a massive mix of people. And again, they're taken seriously. They are dancing. The parents are crying because their children are allowed to express themselves. They're not sweating blood and tears because they're worried about the people behind them. So it can dance and music can reach, I think, everybody. The danger is that I don't want or need to be called the man that does everything.
The wizard.
The wizard. So in the medical world, we do Parkinson's, dementia, and MS.
Yeah.
But I work with all kinds of wonderful people. But unfortunately, I kind of understand the protocol.
Yeah.
So our kind of title of representative is working with vulnerable elderly.
Okay.
But I've worked with autistic children, all kinds of wonderful people. If you can get people, healthy people, like now, it was a congress of 500, let's say, healthy people, enjoying dance to music and letting go.
Yeah.
Just letting go. Yeah. So I think it's an all-rounder.
Yeah. Marcel.
Andrew, you make a very motivated, engaged impression, huh? With regards to everything you do around Switch to Move, huh? and everything we're talking about now. But where do you get your inspiration, or can you name a person that really inspires you?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. I think who really, really inspires me is my grandfather, who was just always with a big smile on his face, and he also got dementia, and he was diagnosed. And this man just kept going and going and going, and I find that fascinating. So that's a very personal thing. But then you meet these in India, for instance. I met the hospital is called Forever Healthy. Can you imagine a hospital called Forever Healthy? And they deal with everything from children with health issues, parents, mental, and there are doctors there that have been volunteering for 30 years. 30 years. Volunteering. Doctors. And then you ask them, how do you survive? Very easily. I have food, clothes, and a roof.
Yeah.
So what inspires me is to give as purely as possible.
Yeah.
And they're out there. They're out there. There's a lot of people out there that give purely. So that just inspires me.
Yeah. It has to be, and it's basically the essential thing of everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could also look at it the other way, because of course you receive so much from giving.
That's it.
Yeah,
huh?
the more you give, the more you receive.
Yeah, and you have to. The first 3 years, I've seen a lot of people, but in the first 3 years, I saw a lady, for instance, stand up after 7 years, and she was crying, and luckily, I realized it had nothing to do with me. It was her. She did it.
Yeah.
We just gave her the room to do that. So that's giving with purpose, or honestly.
Yeah.
Like, it's purity. I'm not spiritual or religious.
No.
It's not about that. I'm not Mother Teresa. It's nothing about that. It's actually selfish in one way, because you get so much back from giving.
Yeah. But that is key.
It's key. Yeah, it's key. Yeah.
What do you think is necessary for the development of this kind of holistic healthcare?
Policy. We need more policy. It's very difficult to put me in a political pie. So if you look at the political pie, you can't really put me in healthcare because the policy is such.
Yeah.
And you can't put me in culture because I'm not creating art. I'm not an art creator.
No.
So we're kind of swimming in between healthcare. Yeah, we're in the grey area. But there is need for more policy. That this kind of approaches, if they're doing poetry or dancing, it doesn't matter. That there is a more political influx to find the right place for this.
Yeah.
So you have now the European Union. They've done reports on scope reviews on art and health. There are things happening.
Yeah.
and there is enthusiasm, but it needs to be positioned. I think that's the future.
Is that for the long run, do you think?
Yeah, the long run. Yeah, you know, it's the more governments, policymakers kind of create the right foundations for healthcare providers to say, okay, do you want a quality of life or do you want to live longer? And so there are insurance companies that I've spoken to the directors. I don't want to mention their names, but they're saying it's very difficult for us because we spent the last 100 years trying to keep everybody alive. And now we're saying we should either offer them the opportunity for a quality of life or longevity. That switch is quite a big switch.
It is.
But it's a very important switch.
And they should switch to move.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it's policy. It's talking to Brussels. It's talking to the governments to see how we can create an economical, viable argument why people should go to poetry or dance or sing.
And maybe there are policy makers, decision makers right now, today in the audience. I don't know if they are registered for the symposium, but that could help, I think.
Oh no, definitely about spreading the word, experiencing it, because you know, unfortunately, education is becoming a little bit less tuned to creativity, and so when you use the word creativity, very difficult for a lot of people to grasp. We have to get away from having a director in a hospital who plays the clarinet, and it should be every director in a hospital. Yeah, if they play a clarinet or not. Yeah, and that's where policy and clarity needs to come in.
It needs to be integrated, right?
It needs to be integrated. So, for instance, in England, we have what's called social prescription. Art on prescription. We know that here as well.
I think welzijn op recept.
We call it welfare or well-being on recipe or something.
Yeah, that's coming. We're on the move.
We're on the move. And are we getting there?
Yeah, we have to. Yeah, because again, you know, there's
no other way.
There's no other way because we're an aging population. Yes, there are less and less volunteers. There are more and more policies to keep people at home, and so there is no option. 51% of the Dutch population has some form of pathology. It's massive. It's you know, and that could be headache or Parkinson's. But we are unfortunately not as healthy as we would like to be, and so they need to create solutions. If I have a car accident, I want pure medical care, of course.
Of course. Yeah. Yes.
But when I'm 85 and I start to drift off, I don't want to play bingo.
No.
I want to be stimulated.
Of course.
So Professor Erik Schreder, a wonderful national treasure here, he says we need glass walls in public domains in old people's homes. We need to be stimulated. Yes. So there's a massive movement about stimulation, personal approach, and I think we will go there. You know, Holland is so innovative because you are quite economically conscious. So you are looking to find ways to be effective, sustainable, and make it more economical, viable. And that's not a bad thing.
No, it isn't.
Definitely not.
No. Andrew, in this podcast, we always have a question from someone out of the network of the guest.
Yeah.
And this time it is Philip Edinburgh.
Yes.
From Be Bright, who has a question for you. I'm going to ask, Andrew, how does your Dance for Health initiative contribute to the different aspects of positive health? And do you research this effect of your intervention? Two questions in
Yeah,
one.
two
Yeah.
very, very, very good questions. The thing about performing,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm a performer, is it gives me the opportunity to be an advocate for health, arts and health, positive health. So I'm very much an ambassador
Yeah.
for positive health by letting people experience it. And it doesn't mean that everybody suddenly has to dance and listen to music, but to stimulate people that we own an amazing instrument and you need to activate it with poetry, with cooking, with dancing. So I'm an advocate for positive health by letting people experience it, for letting them really connect to themselves. That's one. And yeah, from the research perspective, sustainability is really important.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a great believer of suffering artists at all, but sustainability. So I'll give you an example. With Be Bright, actually, Be Bright kindly funded us by creating a survey to see how much it would cost to facilitate 25 people with Parkinson's,
Mm-hmm.
to give them 100 classes in a nice location with a certified teacher. That would actually cost around about 8,750 euro.
Mm-hmm.
If we kept one of the 25 people out of palliative care, the funders would save 75,000 euro.
Mm.
So, yes.
How obvious.
Exactly.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
very important that we implement the argument of sustainability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of course, autonomy and dignity and less a decline from a cognitive, physical or social, absolutely. But the research is on the argument of it being economical viable.
Mm. It's clear as transparent
Yeah, can be.
Yeah.
as can be. Yeah.
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 Okay, Andrew, what gives you a positive feeling when we're talking about the future?
Again, there are a lot of people that care. We have so much chaos in our planet. But chaos actually is the beginning of some form of peace. That sounds a bit, optimistic, utopian, but I do believe that we have to connect. It's very clear that things are shaking up so much, and till the last day we have to plant a tree.
Mm-hmm.
We have to plant a tree every day, and I, because of the world I'm in, I see it. You know.
Yeah.
Now I was in India, in a hospital called Forever Healthy, volunteers helping depression, children. I just did a kind of a Zoom meeting for women, women with breast cancer in the Pushkin Museum in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
That's not political.
No.
That's 50 people with unimaginable issues dancing with a funny Englishman over Zoom in a beautiful museum.
No.
You know, and there are orchestras that want to do more, politicians that want to do more. So, of course, one has to be careful how far one positively thinks, but I think that the road is rosier than we think.
Do you consider yourself, Andrew, as a pioneer? We have in Dutch, we have a proverb, it's zoals roepen in de woestijn, a caller in the desert. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you think you are a caller in the desert, a pioneer, or is the community growing?
Wow, that's a good one. I mean, I would say that I am fortunate enough to be in the public domain where I can and should only be a pioneer.
Okay.
because of the work with orchestras and theaters, you know, I see a lot of people. So, you know, I don't pat myself on the back with that title.
No.
But now you put it out there, you know, I will
We will. Actually, we're doing it right now.
Yeah.
We consider you as a pioneer.
Oh, thank you very much.
Everybody should listen and follow this man, ladies and gentlemen.
That's of course, compliments are nice to hear, hard to take.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question.
Yeah.
What is your dream with regards to positive health?
Yeah. I mean, again, you know, if I just purely selfishly think about myself,
Yeah.
because now I'm 61, so let's say 20 years down the road, I want to be stimulated. I want to be challenged. I don't want to be put in a specific kind of scenario where I'm cared for and don't do this. So I'm a pioneer of positive health for my future and for actually all my friends who I know dearly that would be quite happy to be in an environment that is constantly stimulating them. I'll give you, if I may, can I give a very quick example?
Absolutely.
Okay, so there is a very well-to-do care home in Holland, where these wonderful people have worked very hard to be in an environment where everything is done for them. Their nails are cut, toes and fingers. And then there is in Athens a care home where there is no bathroom on the first floor, so they have to walk upstairs. They don't have anybody cutting their nails. They are more vibrant because they are challenged.
Yes.
Just as an example.
Yeah.
And my wonderful community here are less challenged.
Yeah.
And so there is a sedatory slowness creeping over them after working so hard to have everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you.
Andrew Greenwood, thank you so much for having this conversation with us.
It was great questions, by the way. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. We've come to an end of this episode of WELdoeners, and well, Sven, what did you think?
What do you think? Moving on up. Time to move.
Time to move.
Yeah. Let's play some music and go
And
dancing.
dance.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Absolute pleasure.
Great.
Thank you.
All right. Did you like this episode of WELdoeners about positive health? Then you can subscribe yourself via Spotify. And the podcast is also available through our website, welinflevoland.nl. And you can also watch it now via Well in Flevoland on YouTube. Thanks for listening or watching, and stay well.
Keep on moving. Don't play bingo.
Yes.